A very, very blessed and good morning to everyone. Respected Professor Bhushan Patwardhan sir, Honorable Madam Vice Chancellor, Professor Ujwala Chakradeo, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Ruby Ojha, NAC Advisor, Dr. Devendra Kavde, our eminent keynote speakers, senior faculty, delegates across India, my colleagues from the institution, and the entire organizing committee of the National IQAC Seminar. I take this opportunity to first wish you all a safe and happy COVID-free 2022 and extend a very, very warm welcome on behalf of the institution. Friends, it's a blessed day that in spite of all adversities around, we are together and we are sharing this moment of pride and joy. It's my proud privilege to welcome all of you to the SVT IQAC National Seminar, which is in collaboration with the National Assessment Accreditation Council, Bangalore, India. And we are going to deliberate on internal quality assessment systems in the new normal. Sir Vithaldas Thackeray College of Home Science is a prestigious constituent autonomous college of SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. It was the first college to get autonomous status in state of Maharashtra and is celebrating its 25 years of autonomous status today. The college is NAC accredited with a grade A in 4th cycle and is a recipient of coveted honor of College with Potential for Excellence from University Grants Commission in 3 consecutive phases from 2006 to 2020. The college is also a proud recipient of RUSA 2 infrastructure grant of 2 crores from Government of Maharashtra for the duration 2018 to 2021. Friends, the last 3 years of pandemic have coined the term new normal, which is a reality today. And why I say it is a reality, because there is no going back. It is to stay with us for times to come. This new normal has not only brought challenges in all spheres of our lives, but has resulted in a lot of innovation and learnings, especially in the academic space, and it has to become an integral part of our academic environment. India is one of the largest education systems in the world, with 900 universities, 45,000 colleges, 15 lakh schools, 33 crore students, and more than 1 crore teachers. The Indian education system has a glorious past, with Nalanda and Takshila universities in 5th and 6th centuries, the highest centers of learning in the world. The new normal in education has brought to the forefront the inclusive and wide national and global reach of education through virtual platforms. Virtual classrooms, online learning, hybrid learning is the future of education in the new normal. It has provided global connectivity to teachers, mentors, and learners. The global virtual village of the new normal has made us co-create, collaborate, and achieve the desirable learning outcomes. The theme of the present seminar is very apt, as it gives us an opportunity to take a pause after 3 years of pandemic times education to set benchmarks of internal quality assessment in the new normal for all aspects which are related to institutional growth and overall development of the students. The sub-themes of the seminar introspect deeper into all institutional criterias for quality and academic excellence. It also emphasizes the roles of all institutional stakeholders in strengthening the teaching learning process. The seminar also discusses the benchmarks for quality assessments in the backdrop of National Education Policy 2020, which is a dream to realize by all educational institutions of this country. Friends, I place on record the blessings and presence of our mentors, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan sir, a distinguished professor, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, chairman of Interdisciplinary Ayush R&D Task Force, former UGC vice chairman, and an integral part of the process of the implementation of the National Education Policy. Sir, we are so grateful to you that you are here. And I remember the day I messaged you and I said, sir, can you place me? And you immediately replied to me and said, yes, Dr. Madan, I remember you and I accept your invitation. So we really look forward to, your this precious time and your lead messages to us, which will really set the context of this seminar to take forward in the next 2 days. So thank you once again, sir, for being with us and taking out your precious time. I also welcome Professor Ujwala Chakradeo, our Honorable Vice Chancellor of SNDT Women's University. Thank you, ma'am. I blocked your calendar 2 months ahead of time because we cannot, think of any event without your presence. So thank you so much for sparing. And I think like a child of the family, I kind of exerted my right and said, ma'am, I want you to be here for 1.5 hours of the inauguration system, the function, so that, we get to, listen to Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan and we get your blessings through the presidential address. So thank you very much, ma'am. I only want to place on record that ma'am has taken over just a couple of months prior. But, we find her extremely approachable, very positive, very progressive. So, ma'am, we are really looking forward to working with you. And thank you so much for making time for this important event of ours. Then I definitely want to welcome Dr. Devendra Kavde, sir. Kavde, sir, folded hands, thank you to you, because you were the one who actually inspired us and, told us that why don't you go physical? Because we were just emerging out of the pandemic and we gathered courage and we said, yes, we will go physical or maybe we'll do hybrid. And that's how we started planning and, booking everything for you. But at the last minute, just unprecedented circumstances and, we had to become virtual. But thank you so much, sir, for honoring your commitment. And I know you are in Nagpur, but you have joined us from there. And we thank you for your precious time. And we look forward to your plenary talk, your keynote address. I also place on record the presence of Professor Shashikala Vanjari, our immediate past Vice Chancellor, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. I think probably she could not join us for inauguration, but she was very much wanting to be with us physically. But I look forward to her presence in the valedictory program. We are extremely privileged to have our excellent keynote speakers who are stalwarts like Professor G.D. Yadav. He's an emeritus professor of eminence at ICT Mumbai. Dr. Shobha Udupi, emeritus professor and director, Kasturba Health Research Society and Medical Research Center, Mumbai. Dr. Vimal Rar, project head and joint director, GAD TLC of MHRD and professor at Khalsa College, University of Delhi. Dr. Sybil Thomas, Dr. Vivian Amonkar, Dr. Fraser Masernas, all stalwarts from University of Mumbai who will be gracing the seminar through their keynote addresses. So we are ever so grateful to National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bangalore, India, and especially Dr. Devendra Chakradeo, sir, for the gracious support to organize this national seminar. I just want to say another thing about Dr. Chakradeo. I was going through some literature and I have seen the kind of virtual connect he created in pandemic times with higher education institutions, talking about the accreditation process and holding 25 seminars on best practices of all institutions who got A++ grade through NAC. So I think that was an immense initiative, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you for encouraging us also to organize this event. I wish to place on record the support of our founder family, Mr. Sudhir Krishnaraj Thakursi, and Sir Vithaldas Damodar Thakursi Charitable Trust, Mumbai, who've been with us, from ever since the college got, founded. And even today for this event, they have supported us. Mr. Thakursi had sent his best wishes, but he could not join for the inauguration session. I congratulate my SVT IQAC team, especially my conveners, Ms. Archana Jain, Dr. Madhuri Nigudkar, Dr. Armaiti Shukla, Dr. Rajashri Shinde, my Vice Principal, Ms. Manjari Bhalerao, my Controller of Examination, Dr. Rekha Batalwar, and the entire colleagues of this college. I think everyone has chipped in to make this seminar a success. I quote Abraham Lincoln, if everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. So last but not the least, my delegates, thank you very much. I was going through the registration list yesterday. There are more than 500 registrations. And what is most beautiful is that they are pan-India. I think there is no corner of India which is not represented in the registration list. So I think the strength of a group to discuss, deliberate is the heterogeneity and, of the discipline, the backgrounds, the status which we hold in different academic institutions. So we really look forward to very good interaction. And I congratulate the paper presenters. We have very good 20 papers, oral presentations, which will happen today and tomorrow. And there is a cash prize for 2 best paper awards, which will be given to the oral presenters. So once again, we look forward to a very fruitful deliberation and learning. Thank you all again. Thank you with folded hands. In trying times, you are all with us virtually, and I'm sure we are going to make the most of this opportunity. So once again, I wish the seminar a success and a big God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madan, for that encouraging welcome address. Next, I now invite our eminent dignitaries, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan sir, Dr. Devendra Chakradeo sir, Dr. Ujwala Chakradeo ma'am, Dr. Ruby Oja ma'am, and Dr. Jagmeet Madan, and all the delegates to join us for the lamp lighting, which symbolizes the formal inauguration and the declaration of the 2 days national seminar as open. Ankit, can we have the lamp lighting, please?
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Thank you.
Dhanyawad Rekha ji for that kind introduction. First, let me wish all of you happy Sankranti, happy Lohri, Bihu, Pongal. It shows diversity of our country and richness of our culture. Before I start, I must pay my respect to Maharshi Dondokeshav Karve, Baya Karve, and their efforts, today what we see, the place which women in education we see today, must remember them. And SNDT, whenever I come to SNDT, I feel energized because the power of women, we have been ignoring for quite some time. I will not expand on it more, but let me tell you that as a biologist, even if you just compare the chromosome size of men and women, you know how small we are. And so I feel more energized whenever I have come to SNDT. It has always been a great experience, and especially your college, is renowned in its field, and I know the eminent principal of your college, Jagmeet Madan, who is distinguished scientist in this field. She has taken a lot of effort in bringing this college to this level. I also have been interacting with the earlier faculty from your college, including Professor Shobha Udupi and others. I have been interacting with your former vice chancellors, including Professor Vasudha Kamath and Shashikala Ji Vanjari. I remember all of them. And the present vice chancellor, I remember short interacting with her in Nagpur. Ujwala Ji, nice to meet you online. I was hoping to see you in person in Mumbai, but as Jagmeet Ji told us, the compelling reasons we are meeting online. And I'm sure under your leadership, SNDT will rise new heights. SNDT deserves actually much more. And while at UGC, I did try, and we will have to try continuously to get SNDT its due. I think SNDT is not getting its due, and we all must work very hard, to get not only recognition but support from all directions, because it is one of the unique universities of India which we all should be proud of. I congratulate the college for organizing this very important uh, seminar on internal quality assessment systems in the new normal. And I also would like to recognize the continuous support that this college and this university has been getting from Thakasi family. I also recognize the presence of my colleague from NAC, Dr. Devendra Kaude, and the entire team of IQSC. I'm sure they must have been very much busy in blessing this seminar well, and which I can see has evolved very well. So Madhuri ji, Archana ji, Ruby ji, everyone, congratulations for this great event which you have organized at the right time. We just celebrated remembering Swami Vivekananda. I'll start quoting him. When he talked about education, he said education is the manifestation of perfection already in the human being. And we want an education which builds character, increases strength of mind, expands the intellect, and which equips a person to stand on own feet. Education is the single most important instrument for social and economic transformation. He also used to say that find a teacher, serve him as a child, open your heart and see God manifested. So such kind of a rich philosophy, such kind of a rich heritage, Jagmeet ji mentioned in her opening remarks about glorious past of our education system in Bharat. I prefer to call Bharat and not India, because when we talk about India, we start thinking only after 1947. But we have a glorious history. Why we and for the same reason, although I have great respect and I am follower of Mahatma Gandhi's thought, still I refuse to call him as Rashtrapita. Because Rashtrapita for Bharat is something which cannot be counted only after 1947. With this background, let me tell you that the subject which you have chosen is very important. And I'm sure all of you know that it started with the 12th plan guidelines. When at that time it was planning commission, so 12th plan, the UGC came out with this establishment of monitoring of the internal quality assurance cells. That was a regulation which was brought in by the UGC, and it went on during the period of 2012 to 2017. IQAC cells were established in different areas. That was followed by quality mandate of the University Grants Commission, which came in 2019. And at the same time, I entered the UGC. So my main responsibility at the UGC was implementation or conceptualization and implementation of quality mandate of the UGC, which had 10 verticals. And the book which you see at the backdrop, UGC has published and it is free downloadable from the UGC site. For those who are really interested in quality of education, I appeal that you must download this book and read it. It's an excellent resource to understand the quality aspects of higher education in our country. So after 2019 quality mandate, we did progress at the UGC, and you will see various initiatives which UGC has taken during this period for improvement of quality. And then came National Education Policy 2020. All of us know, under the leadership of Dr. Kasturi Rangan and your former Vice Chancellor, Professor Kamath, was part of it. This fantastic policy that we have, a visionary policy about which I will talk about a little later. Now the point was alignment of UGC quality mandate parameters and National Education Policy 2020 vision to various aspects which are used for improving quality. And as you know, NAC, NIRF, these are all instruments which are currently being used to assess, accredit, as well as to improve quality. So it was important to align the quality mandate parameters as well as align the NEP vision to that NAC and NIRF. And this was very well done. I must appreciate the efforts of current director, Professor Sharma of NAC, as well as Devendraji and many others at NAC. You will see that now NAC, the new reformed requirements of NAC have captured the vision of National Education Policy 2020 as well as UGC quality mandate parameters in it. So now universities and colleges will have to adopt these if they want to improve their rankings, which is a very good step taken by these agencies. As you know, National Education Policy 2020, I feel it's a great hope to move in the direction of necessary reforms and transformation. It envisions an education system deeply rooted in Indian ethos or Bharatiya Vichardhara that contributes directly to transforming India. That is Bharat. Our constitution talks about it. The first line in constitution talks about India, that is Bharat. But have you really evolved as Bharat post-independence? This is a major question. And I feel that these narratives which have been put on in our mind through education, followed by the Macaulay strategy, which was excellent and smart strategy, we must accept that, has to be changed. But now, while 75th year Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, I think the responsibility on education institutions is much more that these narratives we have to create, re-establish our own identity in education, and the equitable and vibrant education society has to be recreated. And the vision of NEP 2020 has already given us clear hope and way to do it. We need to clearly articulate the goals of education for each of our educational programs, be it primary, secondary, higher education, or undergraduate, graduate, or doctoral education in a seamless manner. That's what NEP is talking about. and we need to translate these goals into curricula, because our curricula, most of them are very, very outdated. UGC has come out with what we call it as outcome-based curricula, and more than 30 such outcome-based curricula, which is part of the UGC quality mandate, are now available at the UGC website, which include syllabus, teaching learning materials, classroom pedagogies, assessment, and educational policies will evolve slowly. But universities are requested to use those model curricula. Don't follow them blindly. Improve them contextually with your own requirements and regional requirements. But outcome-based measures are going to be extremely important. While we talk about quality of education, I must tell you that the elements of education are also important. And I categorize elements of education in 4 different baskets. The first element of education is academic element. Academic element is about intellectual strength, general knowledge, the scientific temper, self-reliance, interdisciplinarity, the aptitude, independent thinking capacity, reasoning ability, habit of learning. I think all this comes under academic. There is much more. I'm just giving you a few bullet points. The second basket I will put, in addition to academic, equally important, is moral, spiritual values, in which emotional maturity will come, the ethical value systems will come, simple living, what Mahatma Gandhi also preached, selfless service, humility, truthfulness, dignity to labor. All these points Mahatma Gandhi has repeatedly talked about, and these are important. The high moral character, all these are moral and spiritual values, which are also part of our education. Third basket is social sensitivity, which is also equally important, which means the student, every student, irrespective of what discipline you come from, whether science, social science, humanities, or medical or engineering or whatever, every student must have all these attributes, the social sensitivity, national character, our heritage, national culture, the tolerance for diversity, national integration, understanding the rural life. If you don't know the rural India, what kind of student are you? If you are not able to have sensitivity towards the agonies of farmers who are committing suicide in Marathwada or Vidarbha region, what kind of Indian student you are? So all this is equally important as it is important to your domain knowledge. The classless, casteless system, the political system in our country, the economic system in our country, the civic sense, the respect for rights, and not only rights, but responsibility towards duties and discharge of obligations of these duties. And all these are important. And the fourth basket is about quality, which cuts across all the previous 3 baskets. So I think these are the elements of education, and irrespective of which college, which university, which discipline you belong to, we should try to capture the essence of all these characters or parameters or elements of education in our system. The attributed or attributes of educatedness, I would like to differentiate between an educated person and a degree holder. Not necessarily every degree holder will be educated person or will have attributes of educatedness. Educatedness attribute typically every student must develop independent thinking, learning capability, reading, communication, information, understanding, intellectual capabilities, critical thinking, inquiry, integration, socio-emotional components, attributes and habits of mind, citizenry, and beauty of aesthetic. To my mind, if any student is not able to appreciate beauty or can recognize aesthetic values, or her education is not complete. I must tell you that purpose and ethos of education are primarily 2, but they are not replaceable. Both are equally important and both should be given equal weightage. The one is intelligence and well-being oriented liberal education, and second is economy oriented formal education. Economic advancement of the individual, corporate, and nation is important. Future flourishing of the learner, economy, nation, and generally for global good are also important. But the liberal education is not simply to prepare one's first job, but also for the second job, third job, and beyond. Because the education, future education, you'll have to give in such a way that you prepare person to get quickly adopted for the changing needs of the society or changing need of the economy. You cannot have a person who can handle only one job, because that job may go any time. You don't know. The things are changing so rapidly around us. The current approach, I feel, is focused on campus placement-based, salary package-driven education culture, which I think is detrimental to the basic ethos of education. So we must rethink. But I must tell you that they are not replaceable. So you cannot say that placement-based education is not important. It is also important. But both will have to keep and strike this balance. So I'll not expand on these things further, but next point I want to bring in, the education in mother tongue is extremely important, and NEP talks about it. The monocultural, monolingual domination which we are facing, and I would like to call it as the monocultural dominance on our mind, because of several decades or centuries of invasions, our minds are also eroded, and because of that, we think that whatever comes from the West is only the knowledge. We are forgetting the knowledge legacy which we have. The monocultural, monolingual. When I say, the lingual, English is important, and everybody must know English. There is no two ways about it. But at the same time, we can't forget our own mother tongue. Today also, when I read something in Marathi, I get connected to that more. When I read Marathi newspaper or Marathi book, I understand and appreciate it much more. So everyone will understand and appreciate in our own language, in our own mother tongue. So education also must be given in mother tongue. Promoting regional languages is equally important, and bridging bridges between language and knowledge sharing is going to be very, very crucial for the future. The cultural and knowledge legacy of our own country, we must remember, appreciate, and respect. Today, I must tell you one example. One of my friend who is an eminent entomologist, I'll not tell his name, but he is white American, and he told me once that, look, I have traveled all over the world. I have met all different kinds of people. I have interacted with people coming from different cultures. But I find India probably is the only country where educated elite, he used this term, educated elite, take pride in ridiculing their own culture. And when I started thinking about that statement and reflecting, I thought how true he was. As an outsider, he analyzed us so well. The evolving Indian civilization actually excels in metaphysics, as also in science, mathematics, astronomy, pharmacology, numerical sciences, geometry, algebra, trigonometry, medical science. If you look at Bharatiya Vichardhara, Bharatiya knowledge, you will find that there are gems of knowledge in all these disciplines. Our knowledge has an evolving legacy from not only Indus Valley civilization, but also from Vedic, Buddhist, Jaina, and hundreds of local knowledge traditions which we find in our country. Unless the advent of foreign invasions, these invasions, are the responsible for Indian civilization, which was at the center of one time, at the center of learning in several branches of knowledge and thoughts of schools all over the world, especially in Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Europe. Slowly we lost that age. And Nalanda, Takshashila, while we take pride in talking about them, we could not create more number of them in the last couple of years. Now we must try and hard, very hard. When I was student in school, I was taught, means even today, if you ask me, who were the Mughal emperors and what were their years, I can tell you, because there were marks given, Sanawadi we used to call it as, or I can tell you different viceroys and their years also. But if you ask me who were the more than 100 dynasties were there in Bharat, who knows about them? Who have taught them? We may have read in our history books something about Maurya or something about some other small paragraphs. But have we heard Panini, the Sanskrit grammarian, who with the whole computer language of today, based on the grammar which he talked about, 600 BC, or Charaka and Sushrita, they introduced the most rational reasoning-based medicine and surgery, or Kautilya, Aryabhatta, Varamira, Nagarjuna, Bhaskaracharya. How many of them reflect in today's education system? We have to think about it very seriously. When Nalanda and Takshashila was there, we never used to differentiate between skills and education. Education and skills used to go together. We have created these silos of education and skills. We think that education is higher than skills and skills is something which is low. But I believe that the skills are even much better. I don't mind giving a degree to an excellent carpenter or excellent even electrician or even excellent driver or excellent leather worker. Why not, if they are able to do their job well? We have completely ignored these skills by giving white collar a kind of a glamour which has adversely affected on our civil culture. The Chauda Vidya and Chausasht Kala. If you look at Chauda Vidya, whether it is Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Vedanta, Purva or Uttar, Mimamsa, and not only that, we have also respected, while we have respected Vedanta on one side, we have equally respected Charvaka. So our whole culture, we have always respected different viewpoints. Jaina philosophy, Buddha philosophy, Charvaka, all these forms our Chauda Vidya. They are 6 darshanas, what we call it as. And Chausasht Kala, I was surprised and actually taken aback when I looked at these 64 kalas. Many of those kalas have actually got extinct, and we should really do serious effort to regain them and preserve and encourage and promote those who are even today existing. Many of those kalas we may know just names, but those experts we may not find. So from the Gurukula tradition, which was our own Bharatiya Parampara, we British are compelled us to transform into Kulaguru tradition. And this Kulaguru tradition, which came out in the form of British modeled education like universities and colleges or affiliated colleges, has actually, I would say both have positive and negative points. And we need to create a blend, bringing best from Kulaguru as well as Gurukula traditions, both by promoting learning over teaching. Because we are more in teaching. I must tell you that teachers, I am a teacher, so I can tell you that teachers have monopolized teaching. We think that what we teach in college, what we teach inside the classroom is only teaching, and only that should be considered for giving degree. I think it is completely wrong. Teachers cannot monopolize teaching because teaching happens everywhere. Teaching starts right from mother's womb. Teaching happens in your family. Teaching happens in your society. When a girl goes and do Arangetram for 6 months or more, she is putting huge effort. And a guru, when Arangetram is given, she or he is taking very, very stringent examination, which is much better than what examinations we may be taking. Why not recognize them? So teaching is typically structured, serious, passive, forceful, unidirectional, monologuous, and authoritative. Teacher authoritative. I'm giving you syllabus. I'm giving you question bank. I'm giving you model answers. You have to reproduce. And if you are able to reproduce well, I will give you marks. This is insane. This is outdated completely. We must focus on learning. Learning is flexible, playful, joyful, active, voluntary, multidirectional, dialogue driven. Our whole Indian or Bharatiya pedagogy of education was dialogue driven. The entire Upanishad is dialogue driven, question answer. But if you realize that we are actually not encouraging questioning, the inquisitiveness among students is getting eroded as the student climbs up the chain of education. So we will find the least amount of educatedness or inquisitiveness in the mind of PhD student as in the kindergarten student. You know why this is happening? We have to think seriously and make these changes rapidly. You know, we have no time now. We are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and we really have no time now to wait for bringing reforms. And we already have NEP in our hand. There is a lot to talk, you know, but I'm not going to go on talking only in a monologuous manner, which I also don't like. It has to be dialogue. So if I have saved some time, I would like to really spend some time to address some of your questions if we have, and if the organizers have time to do it. But the quality is one of the most important thing in education. And the national vision and education vision to bring a self-reliant nation where citizens enjoy a state of flourishing and well-being in all dimensions of life, be it physical, biological, pragmatic and economic, intellectual or social and emotional, and ethical and aesthetic. Education quality is going to be extremely important. You know? So I congratulate again the organizers for this very, very important conference, a seminar, what you are organizing. I would really like to end by quoting Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker in 1998 predicted, he was a futurologist, you know, a management guru. He said, 30 years from now, the big university campuses will be relics. Universities won't survive. It is as large a change as when we saw the first printed book. Now, what Peter Drucker predicted that current university campuses will become relic, he predicted it in 1998, and he gave a time span of 30 years. So we have very few years left, you know, to prove Peter Drucker wrong. We can prove Peter Drucker wrong if we follow what our heritage has taught us and the path NEP 2020 has given. And I'm sure universities like SNDT, I must tell you, Professor Chakradeo, SNDT, you can bring SNDT as one of the model universities if you bring these characters which were inbuilt in SNDT, ingrained in SNDT. And I'm sure the power of women at SNDT and the Home Science College, you know, which is one of the most eminent college in our country, I'm sure you will emerge as a role model where others will follow. And then only I feel that Maharishi Dondo Keshav Karve and Baya Karve from the heaven will be happy and keep on blessing us. Dhanyavad, Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Very warm greetings on this not so cold morning. I'm from Nagpur and I'm aware that it's raining out there and it's very cold. As compared to what rest of the India is, here we are quite in a comfortable climatic condition. My greetings to Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan. And definitely I was looking forward to meet you in person and discuss various things. It's always been it's a pleasure to meet you and also to listen to you. This is not the first time that I was listening to you, sir. And one of the moments which I will mention later on. Prior to that, I would like to congratulate Jagmeet Mohan Madam that you have organized such a wonderful workshop and such a meaningful workshop and also thoughtful, because definitely it would have been a great break to meet personally. We all remember those days when we meet personally and more than our words, the meeting itself, the vibrations of our personalities, they transfer the information and the kind of an emotions with each other, and that we carry back home. And that's the learning also is. And that gives much more learning and makes teachers more meaningful as per their in their role as teachers. I also acknowledge the presence of Dr. Devendra Kavde, who is here with us, and I have interacted with him at various stages, at various points, and the role of NAC and accreditation processes are becoming more and more meaningful. Things are being refined. When my School of Architecture was being accredited, there were various smaller issues related to architecture were then discussed and normalized. So it's evolving, it's growing, and accreditation is also a continuous process, which is being done by NAC, and it's a great role that National Accreditation and Assessment Center at Bangalore is doing for us all in higher education. Sir, Patwardhan sir, when I was listening to you, many thoughts were running behind. And one of the events which were last I heard you was in New Delhi, and it was at the inaugural function of UBA 2, where the framework of fostering social responsibility was framed by UBA, where I happen to be one of the resource persons for that. And it was a pleasure to listen to you at that point of time also. Fostering, when we were talking about fostering social responsibilities through education, and there were various issues, various ways in which that can be done was discussed. And the framework actually consists of not only the guidelines to improve the curricula or add a unit to it, not even talking about adopting the villages or going to the villages. That's a fashion, probably. There was education academicians or the education institutes in the urban areas feel that rural area needs you, and that's why we need to go to the rural area, adopt a village, and do good for them. But actually, the fact is, we in return learn much more than what they gain out of this interaction. So going beyond such interactions, what was envisaged was that we actually spend some time in such villages and try to acknowledge and understand their ways, means, ethics, values, and systems, and try to bring them back to these urban areas so that the urban area, India, urban Bharat becomes slightly more humane for that sake. What is being lost in these urban areas is something which we need to ponder on in our education system. Sir had given one very good example at that time, and that was, I was thinking that when you touched the rural area and understanding the rural area about the 4 baskets, when you were talking, you would mention that particular point. So now I am repeating on your behalf, sir, that you mentioned that if students, the entire class in the urban area or in school from the institution of higher education in urban area goes to the village, stays with the family of a farmer and helps the farmer to sow the to sow the paddy plants or grass there. So in that process, first he is reluctant probably, then he has to put his feet in the mud, and then the activity starts. Otherwise, if he learns this particular thing in the classroom, he feels that what is there to be learned in this? You have, the theory is learned, but the experience is never there. So in the process of experiencing that simple, straightforward process, which the farmer carries out in day-to-day aspect, but in the afternoon when washing the feet, coming back, being in the mud for long areas, what are those problems which the farmer faces? What does he talk? So in between the lines, there are so many experiences which are gathered by students, and they become their lifetime learnings, and their entire life then is changed. I also remember one of the incidents which I would like to quote over here, when I had taken my students to Harsil Valley to understand the patterns of settlements of the Harsil Valley in a small village called Mukba. And in that village, when we returned, we were trying to map that village, and my students were so happy to map it out. And then I said, what are your learnings from this? A student came and said that, madam, the open areas, common open areas are so irregular. We need to regularize those. And that was a learning moment for me as a teacher. What am I teaching them? The modules is a square for learning, and then we realize that they want to regularize the things as though the entire world is a sort of a regular thing, and we want to know and unfold everything. There are mysteries in the world, and there are things which are happening naturally, and we have to adopt and listen and be a part of that very quietly, silently. That is not being told to our students here. We try to tell them that we have to unfold the mystery to utmost, and if something is left behind, then I am at the back race. I am at the back point of the race. I'm not. There is no race. There is no competition. There is so much in the nature. There is so much in the world. We can. It's impossible for we as a human being to unfold every aspect of that nature in one lifetime. We have to be a part of it, sympathize with it, understand it, and then try to learn as much as possible as it could be, for which our five senses need to be trained. And the education is meant for training our five senses, and not for training and picking up the knowledge from the nature and from outside. We have to understand that we have got five jnanendriyas and five karmendriyas, and how to make the best use of these jnanendriyas for the experiential learning. We adopt the theories put forward by the good educationists, theorists from the Western world as well as from here, but the experiential learning given by our ancestors, as very rightly put forward by Patwardhan sir, are the theories which we can very easily adopt in our education system. National education policy gives us that possibility now. And through national education policy, if the true spirit of that education policy is taken up by us, probably we will be able to understand the main idea behind it. Just yesterday, I was reading one of the articles by Anil Auchat, and his criticism or rasagrahan about Bahinabai's poetry. Bainabai never went to the school. She never could write or read anything. Yet she has created the whole world of poetry, where she says about nature, Biya tarare bhuita, sarva komba ale bhare, gavharala sheta jasa angavaratvi shahare. शेतात उगवतं ज्या वेळेला a small plant comes out, and then the kind of a feeling you get has no comparison. That cannot be taught by any theory. That's a part of the experiential theory she is talking about, and she had that whole experience with her. And these moments can be realized and understood only when our five senses are awakened. We are aware that I'm experiencing it. A small cup of tea, a small sip of tea. If I am aware that this is a best taste I have had today, I'm enjoying it, and then I drink it. Or if I drink it while watching a TV and I'm engrossed in the TV program, and there's something happening back in head, then probably I've lost that taste. I'm drinking it for the sake of drinking. Such moments are all over us in our day-to-day life, and we never in our life have ever taught our students about these experiences. They don't become a part of our curriculum at all. The entire emotional quotient of our education has been lost. And that was the major drawback which was identified while framing the national education policy. And the entire impact and the effect has been concentrated around this fact that we have to experience the things for learning. So learning happens only when you have experienced it. It's recorded out there, not for the packages of salaries, not for rushing, not for having a mad rush to enhance so-called your status and to become status not in the form of only materialistic aspect, but also in the form of thinking about the status of hierarchy in the being powerful. And then we go on, and something is lost, especially in the institutions like SNDT, where the blessings of Maharshi Karveji is there. When I sit here, I repeat again, I might have repeated in this short span being here, that whenever I sit on this chair and this photograph is watching me, speaking to you all, I get that kind of a shahara, which I talked about, the goosebumps, which I talked about just now. That kind of an experience I get, and the blessings of Maharshi Karveji and the richness of the power which prevails around in the air of SNDT that I've also experienced recently. And this power, this uniqueness, this identity, this power, this gender sensitivity, when we talk about SNDT, all that floods in, and we need to be all experiencing this particular aspect when we talk about SNDT and take the activities and the status of SNDT all over and to the rest of the world. When we talk about women and women empowerment, normally the people get people feel that we need to talk about the discrimination that has happened to women. Rather, I would say, if we focus our understanding about the strengths which women have, Sapta Shaktis which women have, and try to focus and concentrate our educational systems towards those Shaktis, towards that empowerment, then probably the education will become more meaningful, and the Sabala, Hum Hai Sabala, the point which we have in our university song, will become more meaningful. And there are many things actually which we can adopt at our SNDT through which are there in NEP. So implementation of NEP, I would like to mention here, Bhushan sir, that we have already started at SNDT, and there are so many things, and in one go it is impossible for us. But there are few things which we can also take up very easily. There are already in SNDT, probably is the first university which has started the credit systems and the short courses long ago. In all our postgraduate courses or departments, the units and the CBCS system has been already taken up. And this through making so many courses which are credit-based courses or certificate courses, we have the capacity to give our strengths and skills not only amongst ourselves, but also to the society outside. People are actually, women in society, they look at us with lots of expectations. They have got so many things to do. A lady probably might have left her education after marriage or because of certain constraints or something. Now through NEP, she is eager to come back to the education system. And here probably that's SNDT would like to stand with open hands to welcome such ladies back to the education system. Not only that, but strengthening all women and empowering them financially also sometimes becomes necessary to follow the very fruitful and small disturbances. That's but making them financially strengthening these women financially probably evokes the self-respect. This self-respect, which is very important for them to take up their lives meaningfully further, and that's how the meaning of empowering women. So empowering women is not actually to bring skills from outside and giving them, but the real meaning of education, which was given by the real definition of education, which was given by Swami Vivekananda ji, that we have to bring out the inherent qualities of every individual outside. And that is what around which the national education policy revolves, is what is very appropriately applied to the women's strengths also. There are inherent qualities which women have. They are stronger in certain areas, and these areas where their strength is immense needs to be identified, glorified, made aware to all the women, so that they are aware that they have that strength. They don't lose that ability. So there are many things, of course, which can be shared. And my best wishes to Jagmeet Mohan Madam and her entire team for the success of this. Of course, the well-begun event is more than half a success. So it's already a successful event, and it will end up successfully. And the guidance and the blessings of Patwardhan sir has been there. And also to carry forward, Dr. Devendra ji is there, and your app team, which has organized it all. And I've always, in this very short span of mine, I'm in association with you. There is a reason why your institution has become the institution of potential of excellence, because I've seen meticulousness with which the entire event has been designed and appropriately worked out. And my best wishes are there. I'm there always with you all. It's our event, of course. Thank you so much. There's Jagmeet Madan Madam and Bhushan sir. The other activity which I have to immediately join is the same activity, that of the UPA, the event has started at 11 o'clock. And in that event, we are launching the framework which has been prepared for the universities across India to foster social responsibility amongst our students. So changing the mindset of students is one aspect, and going to the villages is another unit which is there in that. So I didn't want to miss this event as well because of all of you here. Thank you so much for arranging such a program, and thank you so much, Patwardhan sir, for being here with us today.
Thank you, ma'am. Folded hands. Thank you. You pushed your schedule and you accommodated us. Thank you very much for those motivating words. And I think I just want to add here, Dr. Bhushan sir, I think you are an epitome of inspiration. And you and ma'am together, I think I'm really looking at both of you to hold our hands, to do the best to maximize the potential of new education policy. We see a lot of caveats, we see a lot of opportunities, but that clarity of how we can achieve. And I see a ray of hope because being autonomous, we can think out of box and things are a little easier for us. So I think this is where I would like to again connect with both of you more in detail, take your appointments and request some hand holding to make us far better, adopting the new education policy.